called him the Bulldozer.
I'm sure you don't want to hear that, but that is the reality.
He was a man of radical fire.
Bilioni 71.
To the underprivileged, he was a messiah.
Mungu akubariki sana. Uendelee kuwasaidia na wengine wasiojiweza kama mimi mzee wangu.
The man who snatched the nation from the grip of thieves and gave it back to the people.
Tanzania tumechezewa mno, na kama kuibiwa tumeibiwa mno. Mimi niko serikalini najua.
But to those he silenced, he was a despot, a man who replaced the rule of law with his personal will.
Na sasa hivi atoke nje.
Dharau ya moja kwa moja kwa taratibu za kisheria.
Sisi tukizungumza kuhusu nyie mnatuweka polisi, mnatupeleka mahakamani. Lakini rais akizungumza kuhusu sisi mkitukashifu, nyie hakuna pa kupelekwa.
This was a man who shattered tradition by placing the fate of Tanzania in the hands of Samia Suluhu Hassan, who would eventually become the nation's first female president.
Mama huyu ni mama safi na ni mchapakazi safi.
This was a leader who dismissed the high-ranking officials in public and laughed while he did it.
Kuanzia sasa Kabwe nimemsimamisha kazi.
Tanzanians gave him a new name, Mtumbua Majipu, the Lancet.
Mnataka nitumbue jipu hapa hapa?
He didn't just lead, he performed a Magufulification of a state, building more mega projects faster than any president in the history of Tanzania.
Nataka Tanzania iwe kama Ulaya. Hakuna mtu atakaye kuja kutujengea Tanzania.
And in the process, he ruled with an iron hand.
Watakaoleta vurugu mimi nitawashughulikia kikamilifu bila huruma. Mimi sijaribiwi na wala sitajaribiwa.
Mocked a global pandemic and narrowed the democracy that had elevated him. And then, at the height of his power, admired by millions in the continent and feared by many, the Bulldozer stopped. John Pombe Magufuli was dead.
Umelala yo, baba umelala we. Nenda we. Baba, amejenga mashule mengi.
Sasa, haja tukanizika mzee wetu.
In this episode, we'll deep dive to understand who he is, where he came from, and what were the motives that drove him to become a politician back in the 1990s. We will also look up to his first 20 years as a public servant. To understand the leader John Pombe Magufuli became, we have to look past the palace and the power. We have to go back to the mud, the hunger, and the raw ambition of a young boy in Chato, long before he was the Bulldozer. He was a son of the soil, and that is where his fire was lit. While Tanganyika, led by Julius Nyerere and Oscar Kambona, were fighting for the country's independence, October 29, 1959, in Chato, Tanzania, in a modest grass-thatched home, a child was born who would one day shake the foundations of Tanzania. But there were no silver spoons there. This was the world of rural simplicity. While the future leaders in the capital were learning diplomacy and building a born nation, Magufuli was learning the rhythm of the village. He watched his parents toil in the dirt. He saw the cost of inefficiency. He saw how laziness and corruption didn't just stall a government, they starved a family. For Magufuli, poverty wasn't a burden, it was a teacher. It planted a seed of contempt for anyone who wasted money, wasted time, or wasted hope.
Here's the most perfect formula for human behavior that I think will ever explain a human being. I want to find out how this person reacts to conflict and how they make friends and how they socialize. Because every human being is a product of how, when they were 8 or 9 years old, we have something called the childhood development triangle. Maybe you could throw it up on the screen. But what did I do to earn friends, earn rewards, and sometimes rewards are recognition. If you grew up in a really bad environment, sometimes the reward was water or food for a kid. And then the third is, what did I do to feel safe? And those little behaviors that we memorize at 8 or 9 years old, without us ever knowing, we carry that into adulthood. So I'm seeing childhood behaviors in every adult. I'm seeing how they deal with conflict. That's what worked at 8 or 9. And I just say 8 or 9 as a random number, but in those formative developmental years.
But this Herdboy had a weapon, a brilliant, methodical mind. One question that lingers, where did he get this mind? He didn't study law. or a political science. He chose chemistry. From a bachelor's to PhD, Magufuli didn't just learn about elements, he learned about precision. He saw the world through the eyes of a scientist. To him, Tanzania wasn't just a country, it was a complex chemical reaction. If the results were failing, it meant there were impurities in the mix. Corruption was an impurity. Laziness was a bottleneck. Bureaucracy was just a slow-moving reagent. Magufuli governed exactly as a scientist. He'd identify the root cause, strip away the waste, and demand a measurable outcome. As one observer put it, he governed like a chemist.
Majina ya watu ambao hawafanyi kazi BOT, delete them. Mubaki na watu wanaofanya kazi. CT scan za hospitali za private zote zinafanya kazi. Za hospitali ya hapa Muhimbili zote hazifanyi kazi. Sasa miezi miwili.
He wasn't looking for friends in the corridors of power. He was looking for results. He often said, I don't care who hates or loves me. If Mama Jessica, his wife, loves him, it is enough.
Na mimi sitaki wanipende. Mradi napendwa na Watanzania. Sikuja kuuza sura, nilipendwa na mke wangu anatosha.
The boy who walked barefoot in Chato was gone. In his place stood a man who forged in a crucible of hardship and refined in the laboratory.
Cha ajabu siku hizi kinachofanyika, hata bodi badala ya kukaa bodi Tanzania kujadili mambo yao, wanakwenda Ulaya kwenda kukaa bodi. Bodi meeting ni mambo ya ajabu, ya aibu. Na ndiyo maana ndugu zangu waheshimiwa wabunge, napenda mnielewe na ni lazima niliseme. Nisipolisema nitakuwa mnafiki, na mimi sitaki niwe mnafiki, kwani msema kweli ni mpenzi wa Mungu.
But science wasn't the only thing that forged him. Before he entered the halls of government, Magufuli wore the uniform. From 1983 to 1984, Magufuli served in the National Service, the JKT, a mandatory one-year service for every Form 6 graduate. And now, Herdboy and the Chemist became a soldier. He learned the nation isn't just built with tarmac and stone. It's built with discipline. He learned the value of chain of command, the necessity of sacrifice, and the absolute of intolerance of desertion or laziness. When Magufuli later walked into a government office and fired everyone who wasn't at their desk, he wasn't acting like a politician, he was acting like a drill sergeant. For him, being a public servant was a form of national combat, and in war, there is no room for business as usual. Let's pause a bit. Before moving forward, I would kindly ask you to subscribe this channel. Your subscription means a lot to us. Most of you who are watching these videos are not the subscribers. So become one of those people who are building this community. And you don't need to search these videos. They will just pop up on your timeline, and your algorithm will just simply find them whenever we post our new episode. And that also being said, please put the notification bell on, so whenever we post a new video, you get to be notified about all our videos. Yeah. So now let's continue with our documentary. According to local elders such as Mzee Emmanuel Francis, Magufuli did not originally dream of politics. He was a focused professional, serving as a teacher at Sengerema Secondary School and later a chemist for the Nyanza Cooperative Union, which was dealing with cotton then.
Wala yeye hakuonekana kama baadaye atakuwa mtu wa siasa, hata kidogo. Usingedhani kama atakuwa mtu wa siasa.
Recognizing his high level of education, elders in his community approached him, believing he was the only liberator capable of representing their interest and ending their long-standing marginalization. Magufuli accepted the challenge and first ran for office in October 1990 against Fares Kabuye. He lost that election, but two things made him stand out. First, his character. He surprised the public by shaking hands with the opponent and accepting defeat without bitterness, earning him a reputation for humility. And second, the cultural barrier. Interestingly, his loss was partly attributed to a local bias against his eyeglasses. At that time, some Sukuma voters associated glasses with elite intellectuals who might be arrogant or disconnected from the common person. And then, undeterred by his initial loss, Magufuli ran again in the 1995 general election for the Chato constituency, then known as Biharamulo East. Having addressed the initial skepticism of the voters and running on the CCM ticket, he secured his first victory, marking the official start of a political career that would eventually lead him to the presidency. In the 1995, when President Mkapa was assembling his patroopers, the cabinet, he said, "You hit the ground running." He appointed a 36-year-old MP from Chato constituency as his Deputy Minister of Works, and later 2000 and 2005 as a minister of the same ministry. This man was John Joseph Pombe Magufuli. As Minister of Works, the legend began. He didn't read the reports. He measured the tarmac himself. If it was 1 millimeter short, the contract was terminated. And this is where he became the bulldozer.
Sasa fanya wewe usindanganye, niko kwenye site hapa mimi. Wewe huko kwenye site umeleta. Nataka kukuambia hii kazi leo barabara ipitike. Umenielewa bwana? Maneno mengi. Ya nini?
At first, it was about roads, but soon it became a warning. If Magufuli decided an illegal building had to go, he didn't send a letter, he sent a machine. Later, during Kikwete's reign, the TANESCO building saga would cement this claim.
Niliwaambia siku moja kwamba lile jengo la TANESCO liliokuwa ndani liko ndani ya road reserve. Wako watu waliniona kama kichaa, lakini sheria ni msumeno. Na uhakika sasa Watanzania wote mtafurahi daraja hili litakalo kamilika.
Alikuwa mtu mwadilifu, mchapa kazi, mfuatiliaji makini kweli kweli, lakini alikuwa havumilii uzembe, wizi wala ubadhirifu.
For 20 years across the ministries of works, lands and fisheries, he performed a laboratory cleanup of the state, foreseeing building of roads networks. He banned illegal fishing nets, purged ghost workers, and cancelled luxury retreats. He was the ultimate technorant, efficient, clean, and different. Magufuli was the product of two vastly different schools of power. From Benjamin Mkapa, his true mentor, he learned administrative grit, the idea that integrity is the weapon and a leader must be Mr. Clean. From Jakaya Kikwete, he gained a decade-long platform. While critics say the Kikwete years allowed corruption to keep backing, they allowed Magufuli to remain a visible outsider. He stayed in the cabinet for 10 years without getting his hands dirty in party scandals. By 2015, Tanzanians were weary of polite politics. They wanted a leader who combined Mkapa's iron and the result they had seen on the roads for 2 decades. Magufuli wasn't an outsider. He was a man who mastered the system well enough to break it.
When Magufuli became president, he mixed both lessons, if you analyze carefully his presidency. So from Mkapa, he took strictness and hatred for West, I would say. And from Kikwete, he took the idea of development that people can see and feel. But he pushed both very, very hard. And I think that is why we saw fast roads, railways, bridges, discipline in government, but also some will argue that less space for criticism under opposition. So in short, Mkapa trained him to control the system, and Kikwete taught him how to win the public. Magufuli combined the two into a very centralized president.
The reagents were set, the bulldozer was fueled, and the presidency was next. Things are getting hot. The real drama is about to begin. We dive into the election no one saw coming. The internal war within CCM and the 2015 showdown against Lowassi Zukawa. We will witness the bulldozer unleashed.
Amri haraka nashindwa kutekeleza amri halali. Usimamishe sasa hivi. Mniambie kama vifaa vyenu havifanyi kazi, mseme havifanyi kazi.
Get ready for the episode 2 where the lines blur between the underprivileged president and the brutal Magufuli.
Mimi sijaribiwi na wala sitajaribiwa.
Haiwezekani tukanyamazishwa na dikteta. Haiwezekani.
The real Magufulification begins now.
Nilichaguliwa kuaibisha wale ambao walikuwa wamezoea kuiba hela.
Thank you for watching this first episode, and make sure to follow up on the second episode of this Magufulification series that will be coming to you weekly from now onwards.